Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough, and I am just chilling out after getting home from work. And so basically, what I'm going to be doing is I'm booting up music right now. We're just going to sit and do a little bit of a hobby hangout. So yeah, that's all I have planned. Don't have anything really going on. You'll notice the cover art has the fire slayers on there. It's because tonight I'm going to be painting up some for my buddy Jack. Give me just a minute to get the tunes going, and we'll hang out. So if you are in the chat, go ahead and let me know what you are working on, and we'll get the conversation going. That's my favorite part, honestly. Just hanging out with people, knowing we're all painting, getting models done, and that kind of stuff. So let's see. Angry, sad, calm. Here we go. I like my calm playlist. It's a good way to chill out after work. Let's see. I'll skip down a little bit here. Make sure my audio's good, not blaring any eardrums. Okay, cool. I'm going to move down to the downward cam. And here we are. Folks, just let me know if that's a bit too loud for anyone, anything like that. But yeah, let's see here. So basically, if you don't know, like a long time ago, I think I traded the Iron Jaws for the Fire Slayers. Maybe it was the other way around. Honestly, I lose track of all the different trades and sales that I've done. My goodness, get this nice fancy toll bill out of the way. And so basically what I'm doing right now is just finishing up a few models for Jack. He had some leftover Iron Jaws he found in his closet. I promised that I would paint these for him, so let's make that happen. Because we have crummy weather scheduled for the next couple days, I'm going to do some brush on primer just because, well, it's because I can and because I don't mind it. All right. So this is you painting a different group while you wait for supplies for the other armies. No. This is me helping Jack out. So some of them are like, basically when we got the Fire Slayer army, I say we because I picked up this lot. I think the Fire Slayers came first, and then I got them for the Iron Jaws. But some of them were already like started to be painted, like this little guy here, like the plume on his little hair's not done, but like his weapon was red for some reason, and they kind of did the basics of the flesh tone. So some of them are like already started. So it's just a matter of picking up where the last guy ended. These guys here, not even started at all. And then some of the heroes are also in random states of assembly. He is primed. Okay. I like seeing Fire Slayers get played. They're actually like one of my favorite armies since the rules of the new battle tome. I just like watching them get played because I feel like, I don't know, they became a little bit more of a hardy elite army than just like, how many Volkite Berserkers can I jam into this list kind of thing. I don't know. They seem more interesting now. And so, the reason I say that is because the only thing that they have painted for use on rerolling ones is the stuff that I painted when I cleared out his closet of shame of the Iron Jaws he had remaining. And then he would hook me up, or I would hook him up, sorry, with a paint job on these guys so that they can start doing different kinds of lists and stuff like that on the channel so it doesn't get too boring. Which, you know, is kind of important if you have a battle report channel. You keep things spicy and interesting. The old base from Chimera, I think, that I had. Something like that. Never found a wet palette that I liked. I use plastic party plates as palettes. Yeah. Working on studying plants. Now I'm finishing Crusader from Blackstone Fortress. Sweet. Way more interesting and real world useful than plants. Come on. Got him. Stormcast, yay. Sweet. What are you painting for your Stormcast? I did, I got laughed at a lot online, and I'll actually put it to everyone else's thoughts here. But I made a comprehensive list, okay, of all the stuff that I own that I either want to paint or get rid of, right? And that's kind of the idea. Like I'm very serious about it. I want to have everything in my collection painted before I buy any new stuff outside, of course, of hobby supplies to get the list done. So yeah, that's kind of my main project right now. This is a slight detour from that, in that, you know, this isn't for me, but I'm still helping them do it. I just kind of been on a painting kick lately, so I was like, you know what? Sure. We'll paint up some dwarves here. There's not a lot up to them. Once you get good at painting skin and the orange beards, that's all these guys are. It's just skin orange beards. Let's see. The humidity over here where I live really helps. Wet palette is a bit overkill. Oh, that's cool. Evocators, okay. Or evocators, depending on how you pronounce that. I found everybody has their own thing. So yeah, this is my comprehensive list. So I made the list, and then I immediately made stuff that I was currently working on, so I can get that like little buzz you get when you cross something off a checklist. I'm one of those people, very checklist oriented, and do the same thing at work. And I already knocked off all of the bone splitter stuff. Every single bone splitter thing that I own is now painted. And if you want to take a look at those, head over to Facebook, Instagram, or the Discord channel, and there will be pics aplenty. But yeah, let's see. We got. I'm liking how he's looking white, gold, gray, like my sister's. Oh, for your guy you're painting, yeah. By the way, seems like a really good idea. Might use that to get through my list box of shame. Yeah, and that's the thing where it's like, I'm not saying I have to paint it. I'm saying I either have to paint it or I need to sell it. That's my jam. So for example, like I own a very, very tiny Death Guard lot. Like it's just the Dark Imperium set with like 2 extra models. So not a lot there. But it's mostly painted. But I didn't have as much fun playing them as I was expecting to. I had a fun time. And so I was like, you know, if I do 40k, like I want to do something very different, right? I don't play it very much. I don't seek games of it really at all. And a gentleman was getting out of the hobby and got a sweet deal on some Tau models. And so I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to paint Tau. If I'm going to do like 40k, I might as well stick to stuff that I want rather than just being like, well, Death Guard's convenient because they're the cheapest, right? Which is true. But it's like, well, I should, you know, if I'm going to have one army for it, I might as well be the one that I like and that I like the models for. So I grabbed the Tau up. The point I'm bringing this all back to is that, you know, over the course of this list, because it's going to take some time, I'm going to play the Tau. Be like, do I actually like these? Is it a miserable experience? So we'll see. So one of those two things will probably get sold off. Honestly, I'm thinking right now, even not having played the Tau, it's probably the Death Guard are going to go just because I just like the models of the Tau more. For some reason, I think the Blight Kings, like the AOS Mortal Nurgle stuff, I think just looks so much better than the 40k Mortal Nurgle stuff. I don't know why I think that. Someone had said, like, oh, it's because of the 40k stuff, it kind of feels a little bit cartoony, and I can't quite put my finger on if that's it or it's something else. I don't know. But they feel different. Let's see. Can't imagine life without a wet palette. I'm doing it, buddy. Every day, one day at a time. I'm over here living, laughing, loving with no wet palette. Let's see. Jack's painting 20 free guild halberdiers. Yeah, and you're his. Gotta tell y'all, I'm gonna gush for a little bit. Jack's Cities of Sigmar stuff is looking dope, and whenever that gets on the channel, it will be glorious. Oh my god, Fire Slayers now, you're insane. Yeah. I'm not, you know what, even from now on in the chat, I'm not going to correct anyone and say that I'm painting it for somebody else. I'm just going to be like, yeah, got to keep up, bro. I also, you know, I just won a whole bunch of Beasts of Chaos off of eBay. You know, they're on their way right now. I'm so stoked. I've never been this excited for an army before. Anyone who's stayed with this channel more than a year, like, their eyes start twitching. Let's see. Need to order a rogue idol for my bone splitters. Yeah, dude. I have one. We just finished painting it, and I love it. I think the rules are dope. I don't ever see myself using it in Iron Jaws, just because if I want a big stompy thing, I'll just grab a Maw Crusher kind of deal. But in Bone Splitters, I think it has a lot of good uses. I was actually watching Warhammer Weekly's take on the War Clans, and you know, a lot of it I agreed with, a lot of it, you know, some of it I just disagreed with in terms of, like, I think some stuff's more effective or less effective than they say, and, you know, and that's whatever. That's more, it has more to do with me looking at, like, my local player group rather than, like, I assume that they're talking more about, like, the top tourneys and that kind of stuff. So, you know, we have different outlooks when we see the same rule. The reason I say all that is I'm just very excited about the book, and I think that the Rogue Idol adds something that is can be super nasty to Bone Splitters, because they have this key, or he has their keyword, and so he can just be turned into an absolute missile in that army, and it just sounds so exciting to me. So Mogwai, if you're gonna break the cardinal rule of hobby that we all break, where you buy stuff before you have everything painted, that's not a bad one. Let's see. I tell myself I can only get Cities of Sigmar stuff when I get through my Stormcast. That's a great way to do it. And honestly, that's kind of how I do goals too. It's like if I have a model that I'm excited to paint, I'll be like, okay, I can only paint that Savage Big Boss if I finish, you know, these 20 Dude Man Bros for Bone Splitters, that kind of thing, where you just kind of set up an internal reward system, and then the discipline of keeping yourself to those things, I think, is really, really good. Let's see. Question: do you happen to have the Savage Big Boss and Lord of Plagues? Curious how they compare in size. Would like to give the Lord of Plagues the where he's like lunging forward. I don't have them readily available. They're all packed away right now. When I was doing my big inventory to make my to-do list, and actually I don't own a Lord of Plagues. I have a Lord of Blights, and I'm not sure how similar they are. I've never had a Lord of Plagues before. I assume they're pretty close. I mean, like, they're pretty much equals in the book. I can tell you that the Savage Big Boss is a lot more top heavy. Like, his upper body is much, much bigger, whereas the legs are really tiny. He looks kind of funny in a good way, like, you know, in an orky way. Okay, and everything else is primed. Let's see. Gotten in my Liberators. They're pretty easy to get through. Yeah, the Liberators are a piece of cake. Ben Connor, Liberators are easy. Yep. Let's see. Blightscreed, I want to start a new army. I wait a week, and then the next week I want to start a different army. Yeah, that's honestly probably what I should have done with the Tau lot. I probably should have, like, just held on a bit and be like, do I really want this? And but you know what? I got them now, and I don't regret it. So let's take all of the dark skins we have here, because at one point Jack wanted a Brother Lodge of Black Flyer Slayers to mix in, because that's when I got accused of whitewashing the army. That's a total joke, everybody. Jack does not think I'm a racist, but I do. I kind of get locked into one skin tone, and I mentioned this when I was doing the what are they, the Blight Kings, I think, when I was trying different skin tones. That he was poking fun at me for that. And it's 100% in jest. But it gives me a chance to try different stuff. Here, finally, my goodness. Grabbed every single one. What are your opinions on the new Skelly's Ogre box for AOS? I kind of feel the same way about Loon Curse, or I felt the same way about Loon Curse, where I look at it and I'm like, that's really cool. I'm not going to buy it. I think one thing I didn't really consider until I was like doing the live stream where I reviewed that article is how I think good of a deal, now that they're one army, start collecting box of Beastclaw Raiders, and that half of that box is, I think it's going to be awesome. So if you are someone who is interested in those armies, I would suggest checking out that set, because I think that's going to be a stellar deal. Now, I can't say that for sure, but I like the idea of having one set that gives you the big stompies and another set that, you know, there's some of the basic, not the basic dudes, but yeah, just some more man-sized, I guess, ogres on foot, not on a mount. Table stuff. When your buddies ribbing actually inspires you to do better in your hobby. That's exactly what it was. I don't know. It was never intended to be like a true comment. It was just him poking fun. And I was like, you know what? That's a good point, though. I'm really good at painting generic Cadian flesh tone skin, but I've never tried anything else. And I don't know. I'm not one of those people typically who's just like, I need to be good at everything. Like, Vince Vincella is someone who like really loves learning, you know, because he's always talking about different techniques. And I tried this, and it's just like, I tend to be more on the like, I figured out how to do it once, and I'm just going to ride this wave for forever kind of thing. But that's not always fun. Let's see. Man, I'm dying on finding the right wash today. Normal oil. Let's try. Sorry, I know this is super mesmerizing. Let's see. Put this off to the side. Going back to the question I was asked about the two factions that come in that box. I'm more interested in the ogres than I am in the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. And that's mainly because like I'm just really curious to see what they do with that army, right? Like we've been waiting for it for so long. So I'm very excited about that. What else? Yeah, I don't know. I have my little destruction army right now. I got my bone splitters and my iron jaws, which I know is technically two different armies. So I got them, and I'm happy. I'm content. People were like, the second I put out a video for Cities of Sigmar, people were like, "Oh, Doug's starting a Cities of Sigmar army." I was like, "No, that book I have no interest in playing that book whatsoever." We were just talking about how COS is the acronym that people have been using for it, and I just, in my own personal mind, I call it the cluster F of Sigmar, just because like there's so many rules questions that weren't addressed in today's FAQ that were just, it's like, let's see. Became woke because of my joke. Yes, Jack, you're that good of a comedian that it affects real change in the world, man. Too real. Question, do you think it's worth building an army with a lot of bravery debuffs? How many ways can you take advantage of lowering bravery besides battle shock tests? There are some units that like, so I believe there's a Flesh Eater Court one, I can't think of the name of it right now, where like basically it screams at you and it does like a bravery check. So like, roll a die and for whatever number it's over the enemy's bravery, it does mortal wounds kind of thing. You just scream at them until they go away type thing. So that would be helpful. So look to see if your army has anything like that. You know, and then the thing about bravery stuff, right? People can... A lot of people would say it's not worth investing heavily in because all it takes is one command point to make it go away. And the thing is, I don't dismiss it that easily because it is true that it takes a command point to, you know, make a unit auto pass battle shock and not care about all your effects that you just stacked on them. But I don't want to spend my command points that way is the big issue. And some armies like Gloomspite Gits, they're just dripping with command points because they don't have a lot of command abilities, or they aren't that great, so no one really cares, or they can, you know, get them really, really easily, that kind of stuff. But a lot of armies, like every single one of those things matters, and so that, yeah, I think it's important, like that. I don't dismiss it as easily as saying, "Oh, it just takes a command point to get rid of," but I will say that there are some armies that are dripping with command points, whereas some, like the stuff that I tend to play, strangely, really, really need every one of them. This guy is Zenithal highlighted, so I'm not quite sure. No, that's not going to work. Okay. Let's see, put that back. Okay, so all of that needs to dry. Let's move on to the weapons. Let's see, Talik. Hey, Doug. Hey, hey. One command point negates your buff to morale. So that's the thing is, I like it. It's just a matter of, I don't know, how much you want to invest in that, right? Like I said, there's some armies that can just straight up not care about all the work you put in lowering their bravery, but then there's others that just, they really do. Like if you're playing against Ironjaws, right? Like, and you put that on a thing of brutes, like they don't want to spend command points on bravery. I mean, if someone plays heavy with brutes, they're kind of dumb if they don't at least hold on to one. You know, dumb's, that's not the right word. I apologize. They just made a mistake, right? I think if you're going to do brutes, you should always have an emergency inspiring presence around. But, let's see. Sorry, had to grab a brush. Let's see. Question. Oh, we got a few questions here. Question: what do you think about getting slammed with another 2 battle tomes coming out so soon? Just when we ever get to read Red Queen. Never heard of it. Must be some strange hipster book. As far as the battle tomes coming out, I'm not gonna lie. I am. Yeah, there's just so much going on right now. Like I'm just kind of in overload, if I'm super honest with you, where there's just so many good things that I want to talk about. Like I have not even done half the videos I want to do from the Cities of Sigmar book, but I reached this point where I was like, man, I gotta talk about Bone Splitters because I'm so excited for them. Like personally, like that's what I've just really been enjoying lately. And it's a book that I think, I don't know, gave me a really fun play experience the times that I've played it so far. And yeah, I don't know. The nice thing is, though, is that I'm not interested in playing either the Maw Tribes or the Bone Reapers. And so that'll kind of help, because the problem I had with the Cities of Sigmar and the War Clans one is, like, I knew that I wanted to do lore on both of them, but the lore on the Cities of Sigmar was new. Like, it was, you know, it's a brand new army. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I got to read this one first, and people have been waiting for those factions for forever. But the whole time I'm doing that lore series, I'm like reading the Ironjawz book or the Warclans book, because it's like I want to actually play this army, and so I need to figure it out, kind of thing. Where you just kind of, I have to just read things a bajillion times to kind of absorb the rules and that kind of stuff. You know, you can tell I didn't do that before I had a chance to play them on Rerolling Ones. Unfortunately, made a lot of stupid mistakes, but I had a good time. The next game I played after that, I did much better. But yeah, so I think not having an interest in specifically wanting to play one of those books will certainly help me get through it. Because, you know, I'll be in and out, get the lore, close the book, make a video, or walk away. That's the theory, at least. We'll see how that pans out for me. Let's see the chat. Let's see. Fire Slayers, not his army. Yep, Fire Slayers. I should pick up doing commission work just to freak everybody out. You know, this way I have the highest number of the random things ever. Oh, I can actually show you. I started doing a magma droth. Jack, you will like to see this. So I did a Google search of Black Dragon, and I got this cool looking thing where it has like a soft blue underbelly. I'll hold it that way so you can actually see it. Soft blue underbelly. And it goes up to black scales all around it, and that kind of like faded bone coming out of the sides. And so in the ridges here, there's going to be more of like almost like a teal, like a very light teal thing. And so he's over there. Yeah, the dude will be riding on the back. So looking super dope. And this is 100% dry brush and some wash. I use prime black, dry brushed with Skaven Blight or whatever like that. That kind of like dark gray all across, and then Dawnstone, light thing of Ulthuan gray. Wash it with Nuln Oil, and then the belly wash with Colia Green Shade. And so, yeah, and then Xandri Dust and Ushapti Bone, dry bones on all the little protrusions, I guess. I don't know. So he's looking pretty cool. Don't do commissions for a living. No, I would never do it for a living. No. I don't have that in me. I'll just make YouTube videos. Thank you. So yeah, I'm just going through. Nice thing about Fire Slayers is you just kind of just pick off all the metal parts and stuff like that, and all of a sudden they come together pretty quick once you get the skin done. You look so good. Oh, thank you so much. Sometimes dry brushing and washing is all you need. Yeah. Well, the thing is like for some of those great models, it's about texture, right? If a model has a lot of texture to it, I find they take to dry brushing super well. And all the scales and all that kind of stuff on the dragon, the magma droth, I mean, they're fantastic. They just caught every little stroke of the brush that I put over it with a different color. You know, you could control how much of what color goes on just by a little bit of pressure. I think contrast would take well to the magma droth for the same reason. Yep. Yeah, I would definitely do that. If I was going to paint a magma droth with contrast, right? Let's say we wanted to do the classic red. I would probably do contrast with I would probably go, personally, Blood Angels, where it's a little bit brighter of a base, and then dry brush up from there with Evil Sun Scarlet, and then kind of go into the orange in certain patches, that kind of thing. That would be the way that I would go, personally. But depending on the color, you can go a lot of different ways. If you wanted to have it be darker, then I would say the Flesh Terrors is probably a smarter place to start. So I'm going to leave it up to Jack to decide lore-wise why these 4 heroes are black with blue beards and hair versus everyone else who's white with orange. We'll just say they're from the the south side of the magma hold. Actually, I love some of the fire slayers that people have done where, like, not that they're standing on lava, but the actual dude themselves looks like they're kind of exuding that same heat, where the skin is, like, actually black, and then, like, little bits of heat are coming off of them with the red and that kind of stuff. Let's see, question. What is the coolest implementation of a dumb idea you've had? Example, made 3 little pigs, unit of boar riders that actually came out looking awesome. Let's see, what is the dumb idea that came out best? Let me think about that one. Best dumb idea that came out looking awesome. Maybe having if you've seen the maggotkin that I've been painting up, having the Nurgling be a parrot on his shoulder. I thought it was going to be really dumb and like kind of a gag, but then I found a Nurgling that's like in a nice sitting position, and it actually like works. It like works really well, actually. And I was like, oh, that's probably the only one that comes to my mind. Let's see. Silver can cause skin to turn blue, so maybe they are using silver to trade for Urgold. That's a great idea. GW is willing to give Slanesh more summoning buff battalions. Why can't we get John Hammond in there to show them how to reel Jurassic Park? That'd be amazing. I do think that should be a requirement, though. I do think if you're going to run a Dino Heavy list with your Seraphon, you should be required to make the Slon dressed up in a nice white suit. And then you, as the player, can just keep saying, "Spared no expense," over and over again until your opponent flips the table. Let's see. Can't wait till Seraphon get an update. Yeah, they definitely do. They definitely do. Is there an older book that's still around in use? Because the Seraphon, I think, were like number 3, right? Because they came out with Stormcast, Bloodbound before they were Blades of Corn, right? When it was just mortal dudes. And everything was awkward. I think it is the oldest battle tome that, you know, that hasn't been updated or something like that. One of the original books, yeah. Let's see this guy. All right. Yeah. Okay, let's throw down some orange. Yeah. Well, I guess since the other ones aren't painted, Runefather with the Latchkey Grand Axe is going to be the only blue-haired bro. Conrad Ogre hype? Yeah. Should be hyped. It's pretty darn cool. I mean, as with any book coming out, I do always exercise a warning that's like, hey, some of your units will go away, and that just kind of sucks. But just remember, you're getting a book. And that's kind of awesome. That's the opposite of sucking. So we'll see. I'm curious to see what the damages are in terms of units that are going away. I'm missing my brushes. Okay, that's all right. Let's see. Did any ogre models get the axe? I heard somebody say that some had gone or were going away, but I don't know the units enough to like tell you with any sort of certainty. And I mean, honestly, I don't believe anything at this point in time. Like, everything's rumor until I see it on a community page. But that's just me not trusting internet sources. That's why I don't do rumor stuff on the channel. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, I am interested though. Like they did do a model close-up and kind of showed the sprues off of the new death stuff today for the Bone Reapers. I'm interested. Like, you know, I like the bits, so I might use some of those bits for like weapons. And if you're theming your army, whatever it is from Shyish, like just getting that thing to have like a ton of bones and stuff is really not a bad idea. Okay. It's good. I was planning on going Bone Reapers, but since they're dropping alongside my Ogres, can't do both. I mean, if you get that box set, you sure can. Just hoard it. Yeah, you know, it's one of those things. I was trying to explain to someone, so I stopped by a game store right after work today just to grab some paints as I was grocery shopping. And I was trying to explain to the store owner, who's friend of the show, Trent. I was just like, I'm not super into the Bone Reapers, and maybe it's an aesthetic that will grow on me. I'm like, you know, like everything else, I'm sure I'll be here in a year saying, I'm just going to do Bone Reapers for all of 2021, and then 2 weeks later I'll have something else. You know, it's whatever. It's Doug. But for right now, they don't really grip me. And I'm not sure why that is. Like aesthetically, like I don't know, I kind of like it because there's a lot of the elements that are kind of like over the top, cartoony, kind of like I enjoyed from War Machine and Hordes with their Death Army, the Cricks. But it's just something about it, I don't know. Did you go over the list you're working on? The list that I'm working on. Jack, which list you talking about? I don't have a list for anything. Oh, do you mean this list? The my to-do list for junks. Oh yeah, sorry. So basically, for those of you who hopped on just a smidge late, I am doing I took inventory of all the models and projects that I have and put them all on a list. And either they're going to get painted or they're going to go away. I'm going to sell them. And so some things are super small, but yeah. Let's see here. So like some of the small things, I have it broken up by like units. So one is to finish 15 R boys like that I got from Jack for painting these guys. The War Chanta, one of them is just says Tau lot. I have a video going up tomorrow talking about the Tau that I got. And that was more on a whim just because I really like the models in that range and I've always wanted to paint it and I just don't play 40k enough to really paint stuff that I'm not interested in. So on the Death Guard on this list, there's a question mark next to them because I don't know if I want to keep them. But I have them for now. We got the orange. We'll keep going on everything else. So yeah, that is my hobby to-do list. So when I put it up online, because I threw the picture of the list on Instagram, I got a whole bunch of so I'm going to say negative feedback, but not in like people were not calling me an idiot or anything like that. It was negative in the sense of people saying that, oh, that'll never happen. That's what every hobbyist says, that kind of stuff. And so, yeah. So I'm going to prove everybody wrong. And I am going to be a good boy. I was at the store today. I held a box of Savage Orcs in my hands, and I was like, I want these. But then I said no. So everything will be painted or sold. I mean, a lot of it's just stuff that I've been trying to get done at some point. Like, for example, I have to get the Warcry terrain done because I can't do the kind of battle reports that I want to do if I don't. Because as much as people liked the first one that I did, and I genuinely believe them, it will be no fun if I keep playing on one-dimensional boards because there's no verticality to them because I don't have the base set done. So need to get that done to do more battle reports. I want to keep going on the Maggotkin project, which I have not given up on, but I have lost a bit of steam because once I painted up those Gorgruntas for the Iron Jaws, I was like, this is heaven. I love those models. So I had never painted any before when I had the Iron Jaws last time because we never had any in our friends group that were available to me. And then at some event, Jack picked me up 3 of them. So I had them just laying around, then I went and grabbed a Start Collecting box, mainly because I wanted a War Chanta. And also more boys. So I grabbed those and just started painting away, and I was like, man, these things are amazing. You got this, Doug? I'm doing the same thing. I agree my friends saying the same thing. Prove them wrong. Yeah. I just, I've met a few folks in my life who love this hobby, and they love supporting Games Workshop, and then if you're around their house, they just have, like, like massive amounts of boxes, like stuff that hadn't even been taken out of the box. It's like, you bought this, and it's doing nothing. It's doing nothing to add joy to your hobby other than existing. And like then they forget they bought it, so they buy a second one. I've seen people do that with like Land Raiders. And it's just like, no, man, that's not, I don't know. To me, I just like, you know, for many people say like this hobby is a waste of money. All hobbies are a waste of money. I try not to use that when I talk to people's hobbies because it gives them joy. But then I see like stuff like that where it's all piled up. I'm like, how is this giving you joy though? Like that's the only thing that I think is a waste of money. It's just, if it's hobby money spent that doesn't add joy, then it's a waste of money. And joy can mean different things to different people. Keep that in mind. I love seeing other people's piles of shame. Keeps a roof over my head. Well, yeah, I guess as a commission painter, that's cash money you're looking at. It's mountains of opportunity. Grant, thank you. Reminder to like the vid and also yourself. I'll allow myself to get Marines and Sisters, then I'll have to get something done. Yeah, you know, I mean, like, that rule doesn't... even, like, my own personal rule with this list, like, if they randomly just coughed out, like, here's a special, I don't know, Mega Boss or something random, like, I'll grab it. It's not, like, a hard and fast... There's no budgetary reason for it. It's more of a personal goal, so, like, if it's like, oh... that's a thing that I really want, and it, you know, with some of those two-player box sets, that kind of thing, like, it will be hard and long to get afterwards, and then it just makes sense. Then you just do it. Sacrifice your dreams, get the model, feel good. Let's see, I have a small wall of shame right in front of my painting desk. Nice, nice. But every time I talk about Age of Sigmar to someone who doesn't play, and they're like, so I have to just come in here and like spend like $500 and get a whole army? And I was like, no, that's the worst thing to do, because then you just sit around with $500 worth of stuff. No, you gotta buy a little bit, paint a little bit. My thing is I accrued random stuff because I do all the selling and trading, and sometimes I just have more than I'll ever need when it comes to something. Like one time I got the Slaves to Darkness lot and it came with like 200 Marauders, and I'm like, I refuse on moral grounds to make my opponent sit and watch me move 200 Marauders. It's a crime. I've seen people drop out of the hobby for getting too much at once. I agree. Yeah, because it's daunting. Because then it feels like work. Who wants to come home from work and do more work? And that's generally how I feel about commission painting. This is mainly because it gives me a chance to paint something other than orcs for a hot second, and I get to see more of my amazing models on rerolling ones, which is basically a giant commission painting service commercial for me. Perfect. Simulate's the way to go. I agree. 100%. That's why I'm liking the orcs and the iron jaws. Like, you know, if I'm feeling like I have an abundance of free time to waste, I'll go with the iron jaws, where I can move that many models over the course of several hours. Let's see. But generally speaking, I'll stick to my iron jaws for the ease of play. Movement trays. Yeah, you know, I like the movement trays for the 25 mils, but all the orc stuff's on 30s. And so, I don't know. They get really cumbersome when you go with the bigger units. Like, physically model larger units. Oh, okay. Well, Kinsey uses 32s on Blood Reaver, so yeah. I guess I think they're 32s. I don't actually remember. This guy, unfortunately, his axe broke during transport, so he is a little derpy. Glued it as best I could. Let's see, worked well my Bestigors. Okay. Got 3 Land Raiders for my Salamanders, 2 Land Raiders and a Spartan for my Dark Angels. Some 16 Rhinos and Razorbacks. Dang, dude. The Rain Man, do you feel... So you own a lot of Space Marines, right? I think that's pretty fair to say. Do you feel like, in the current edition of the game, that all of those different Space Marine armies feel different in the game? Like, when you're playing the game, does it get repetitive, is what I'm asking. No matter what of those armies you are playing. That's what I've always been curious about. I know the new book is supposed to... Or I was told was supposed to add a lot of dimension and that kind of stuff to the Space Marines to make them all feel different. I'm just kind of curious. Got a question for the chat. What shape of movement trays do you prefer? In terms of like how they have their formations or that kind of stuff, yeah. Let's see. Stay up in 40k because they shove so much Space Marines down your throat. Feast of Bones is 195. 195. Okay. It's not the fearmonger level that people were worried about a few weeks ago with the Eldar thing. When that came up, people were like, oh my god, is this the new price for starter sets? But, yeah, I don't know. Let's see, so we got him done. Okay. So let's start. Tell you what, we're going to knock out the skin on these 4 bros. Right quick. Pull out my handy dandy app. I use the Citadel Paint app for most of this stuff. Paint by color, flash. Nope, that's the wrong one. Core Thor Brown, that's what it is. Okay. Death Guard are different from Word Bearers. Dark Angels are my 30k army. Okay, that makes sense. Play different than Space Wolves and Salamanders. That's good. That's the thing, is they make the backstory so stinking cool on all the different, of the big chapters at least, that like, I think it'd be a shame if somebody bought them and felt like they were just kind of buying the same army over again. You know, they obviously have a lot of unit crossover. Not entirely, but yeah. Personally, I want to see who can ally with the Bunny Boys in either direction. Yeah, that's an interesting point. I'm very interested in, how the allies are going to work for that book. Or not even just allies, just the ones that we know are actually in the book. Like, we know Arcane's in there. I don't know. Don't have a solid answer. Let's see. Most of the time when people do EC, it's super cringe. What's EC? Love my fists. Always loved infantry. Heavy marines first. Oh yeah. Emperor's Children. Ah, thank you, thank you. Yes, I will actually agree with that statement then. I don't know. I think it's just because not everyone understands the art of a subtle nod, where it's like, these guys are all about sex, so we're gonna like have them in weird bondage things, and their razorback has been converted to a giant vagina, and all this kind of just random stuff, where you're just like, dude, it's... ease up. They still have to be like Marines. Still have to function. But I feel that same way. I've made that joke before about like wargamers don't really do subtle humor very well. Like the second you bust out your Dark Angels army, people are like, "Oh, heretics!" He's like, "Shut up." Ooh, Doug is going on his Slanesh rant again. I'll stop. I get on my high horse about that one a lot, I suppose. I've been the recipient of multiple emails of people saying, I feel very uncomfortable when other gamers talk about Slanesh. Not because of the content, because of the way they talk about it. I'm like, I can't help you with that. Really? Promise I can't. Let's see. If I were to paint Emperor's Children, I would think more along the lines of access and sensation. The armor would would have graffiti. There would be a boombox speakers everywhere. Yeah, I would probably go with try to find some way of making gloveless hands so they can like feel everything. That kind of sensory overload. I would probably do one of the cool things they did in, I think it was the artwork in the old what is it, the Legion supplement that came out in the last edition. Basically they had an Emperor's Children guy, but his eyes were all like bug eyes, which is typically a Nurgle thing, but like the reason they were like that is because he augmented them, and all of a sudden he can like see a bigger color spectrum and all this kind of stuff, and that kind of stuff I like, where it's like sensory experiences to the max. I'm down with. More light, more sound. Let's see. Have you found the wargaming community has changed since you started playing? Let's see. Well, I started wargaming in general with War Machine and Hordes, and that community, my personal experience is that it has changed, but I also in that time made a cross-country move, and that's where I noticed it. Where in my group in Iowa, we were very focused on hobby and having a cool time, and like theme lists before they were like hardcore used in tournament stuff. It was just like a way to take wonky units that really weren't good. And then I jumped into fantasy battles, and I noticed a change there because I met all of the we'll say grizzled veterans of GW, and that were very, very, we'll say, angry at the way that AOS was launched, to be fair. I don't know. Yeah, I've seen more cool people come in, honestly. Like some folks who never would have tried fantasy battles because either the price tag or the time it took to play, that kind of stuff scared them off. Whereas, you walk into a game store and you see gamers yelling at each other about friggin' rules debates. And you're just like, I'm never going to play that game. Don't care what it is. I don't see a whole lot of that anymore. So yeah, I'd say that I've noticed a change. Part of that's just because I think, I don't know, for as much as people, well, some channels and some people will get on GW's back about, making product and lore decisions to include more folks, mainly, we'll say females. I think we've seen in the last few years an uptick in female gamers and just gamers everywhere. I mean, it just board gaming and nerddom has kind of lost its faux pas kind of side of things in culture, and I don't know. People are just willing to try stuff now. I think that's awesome. Let's see. Yes, court me, GW. That's funny. Let's see, we need some green. My gaming group has 2 women, so I guess we're ahead of the curve. Yeah. Trend setters. I know there's at least 2 in Bremerton nearby. Ladies who game, and they are awesome. One of them's doing Deepkin. I think the other one's Sylvaneth. I don't actually know what she's picking. They're part of the Digital and Dice YouTube channel crew, if you're ever interested. I mean, there's rules attached to the models I paint. Yeah. I know, yeah. And then there's just people like that who are just like, what are we doing? Cool. And that's generally how I am. I'm generally very oblivious to all of the debates and stuff like that when it comes to the games. Just today I was learning the confusion surrounding like the wording for how many Sylvaneth units can go in like a living city army with the New Cities book, and the more I try to understand that book, the more I'm just like, I have no interest in this. It's not even, doesn't even generate enough interest to be like more curious. It's just like, I'm not touching this. Build me an all gyrocopter list and then we'll talk. It's the only model that interests me. Luckily, you have us in to inform you on the controversy. Yeah. I generally don't know about things until someone messages me. Like I didn't even know about the Bone Reaper Maw Tribe box until someone messaged me and said, "Hey, do you know anyone who wants to split that?" I was like, "Split what?" And then I ran over to the internet, and sure enough, I was like, "Oh, cool." I will admit, looking into the actual cost of a competitive AOS army, average cost is more than expected. Something around $760. Yeah, I mean, is that just in models, or are you calculating like if they have any kind of painting work done for them? But I'm curious. Play Beast Claw Raiders, it's less than 300. Alright. You know, it's honestly, it's one of those armies that I've really considered in the background, just being like, really cool to just paint a couple models. But it's almost too elite for me. In the sense of, I think I would have that project done too fast, and I would get bored. Whereas, like, with the Maggotkin, like, you know, there's enough models going around. I mean, obviously Beast Claw is going to change dramatically here in the next couple of weeks, but I have enough models to be playing around for a while. Question, will you give a shout out to my 3-year-old son, Charlie? Hey, Charlie. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're enjoying painting some models. Charlie, what's your favorite army if you have one? While we're waiting for Charlie's response, anyone who puts together an army base around the background is fun in my book. Yeah, I totally agree. For me, honestly, even if you bring a powerhouse army, if you play the game thematically, I'm still having a good time. Like, I was playing, you know, like someone who like makes a dumb decision, but for the sake of fun. Like, for example, when I play against Ben, one of our favorite things is just, we always just find a way to get our generals into combat with one another and just punch each other in the face. Because, like, this is what we came for, right? Like, this is what would happen in literally every book that GW has published, where there's two armies fighting, and eventually somehow the two champions are punching each other in the face. And so we make that happen. Even though, like, he could absolutely smoke me every single game by just standing back and shooting. He's like, no, we're going to do the dumb choice, but for the sake of glory. And that's the right one. Let's see. Question, on your Nurgle project, Doug, have you considered adding Clan's Pestilence? I have. I already painted 40 when I was doing Skaven, and I found it soul crushing. And Mark has actually, Shoe Early Ones has actually offered me them again to be like, hey, you know, don't waste your time. You want to try these again? Do you need these for an event or something? And honestly, I don't really want to run Pestilence. I know that they're the better option, no doubt. I just don't have an interest in them. But yes. Charlie says your army is his favorite. Oh, that's very sweet of him. Yeah, well, right now my favorite is Orc War Clans with all kinds of orcs fighting each other and punching each other in the face. So, that means you have good taste, sir. Let's see. Feel for you. Still have 100 to paint. Fire Slayers are the best army. They're pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. I've definitely thought... well, after the new book dropped, I was like, you know, I could redo a Fire Slayers army. I could do that. And Jack was like, you can play them anytime. Just, you know, use these models from their reservoir of models they have at Rerolling Ones. I was like, nah. But now I got Bone Splitters, and that's all the punching I need. According to my research, Slaanesh and Tzeentch are the most expensive armies. Really? Yeah, but you don't consider Slaanesh, because they can keep on getting Keepers of Secrets, and that's not a cheap kit. I don't doubt you. I'm just making conversation. Let's see. I love Seraphon, but Gloomspite gets is too much fun and amazing looking models. That's awesome. I'm glad you're having fun. Gloomspite is an army that when it came out, I had zero interest in it, and now they're growing on me. Like, I don't know. I have no interest in the actual grots, but just the squigs in particular, because they can ally in with any of the orc things if you take Ironjaw's Bone Splitters or the Big Wall. So I'm always looking like, man, well, what did they offer? And I'm not sure I found something yet, but I'm keeping an eye out. Oop. Oh, man down. And he sticks the landing. Doug, hope you're doing well. Getting set to my Iron Drakes, Hammers. Wow, you got a whole bunch going on. Dang. Well, best of luck to you. Okay. Where are we at these guys? Gotta go pick out all the runes, of course. Yeah, so looks like gold is our next color. If you're ever in Calgary and I'm free, we can try my Squig army. Got 2 of the Loon Cursed Goblin Hemps. Made the Squiglanch with a Shaman. Nice. Okay, so I need my golds. One day I'll find an excuse to meet Doug at a con and play against him with my Red Queen army. Bring it. Tried to play as many people as I could at Nova. Not enough hours in the day. But I think next year I won't be doing the Lore Master Challenge, because that accounted for a couple games and, like, you know, needing to be at certain places at certain times, so... I want someone else to win it. Or I'll just make myself like the boss, you know? You gotta beat everybody else and then you get to me. I want Doug to go to Midwest Meltdown because I'm trying to get there next year. Where is Midwest Meltdown? Oh wait, I don't want to do that yet. Okay. I just set up a GoFundMe page for the cons. You know, I've had multiple people tell me never to do that. I mentioned the possibility of it once in a video, and I had like 4 people reply to that video, or just like, please don't do this. So I don't know. Doug just needs to go from con to con, whooping people everywhere he goes. That's the dream, man. One day. Yeah, after Jess and I got done at Nova, I just had a good long talk about, like, you know, kind of that's my goals for the channel and like the future and that kind of stuff. And she's like, I just want to do this. I just want to go around, you know, have something that makes money outside of just the YouTube thing, obviously. So I don't have to worry about stuff traveling. But she's like, just go around and meet people and just do this. She said she was super on board. She had a wonderful time at Nova. Which actually is kind of the thing I was worried about most, is that she would be bored stiff in a hotel, but my wife is a writer, and so she just holed up and had herself a little writing workshop weekend and was super content. Hey, you. Want to go on a con one day? Just an excuse to publicly raise the Emperor loudly. You gotta yell it like they did in, was it Dawn of War when you played the Chaos faction? Or no, it was the good guy function. They just scream as they went into combat. For the Emperor! Let's see. Was worried about dragging my wife to ReaperCon. Never heard of that one. A few years back, she found a knitting group and even took some mini painting classes. That's fun. That's super fun. Yeah, just she found a bunch of coffee shops locally, and just she had like day to herself, just kind of meandered around at her own pace. Took a couple Ubers, you know, just went around and explored a little bit, and I was like, that's super cool. Okay, love you, bye. You know, have fun. It was really fun to find her in random places, though, because, like, you know, me and her both, we're both very introverted by nature. And so, because we're stuck at a hotel, right, you know, we're just chilling at a hotel, and I was, like, find her down in the hotel bar, cranking out a Bud Light. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you don't drink Bud Light, and you don't hang out in bars. And oh, they're cleaning my room. Cleaning our room and that kind of stuff. So it was just like fun to see her just like Where's Waldo style, just popping up out of nowhere. That was super cute. Alright. Shootcast just won AOS Coaches Sydney GT. That'll be interesting to hear about. Once he does a recap. I'm sure he'll do a recap of his own thing, but yeah, I don't know. It depends, because there's quite a bit of variety when it comes to how you build a shootcast list. So it really just depends. Let's see. Doug, you ever think you'd be up here in Canada? Calgary mainly, as you're missing my message. No, I read it. Let me Google where in the heck Calgary is. Calgary, Canada. Where are you? Let's see. You are not that far. Well, that's a lie. You're pretty darn far. I lied just now. But it's a pretty drive, it looks like. So I would go... So I'm directly below Vancouver. Yeah. Because you got to find an excuse to go to Grapevine. Yeah, I know. I have family in Austin and San Antonio. But it's like I haven't been home in many, many years. So it's hard to go home and be like... Okay, cool, guys. I want to go over here to the Games Workshop store. It just kind of feels like a dick move. It's about an hour drive from me. Oh, man. Jealous. I mean, W. Soren, let me ask you this. Is it super different? Like, what is it? What is it, I guess, is kind of the thing I want to know. Like, because I know there's obviously a storefront. But, like, what do they have there that's different than a GW store, other than like space, right? I mean, and that is all the GW stores I've seen are kind of in strip malls where space is very limited. They can only have like 2 games going at once, and that's like max capacity. That's butt to butt. Let's see. I can't ever justify it because I feel like I gotta tell my parents I'm leaving Lubbock, or else they'll be like, "What?" Yeah. What's up, squad? Oh, hey, Patrick. What's up? What's up? Just hanging out and painting some minis. Having a grand old time. Knocking out some fire slayers for Jack. It's coming along. It's a slow process. I'm trying to think of the last time when I was painting fire slayers. Like, I don't honestly remember. Let's see. It's a good-sized gaming section coffee shop. Selection of Forge World items, plus a display of unpainted minis from every faction. Oh, cool. Okay. Well, I'll admit, that sounds pretty rad. He's just about done. He does have to be rebased, but that is a thing that I will leave to Jack. Embrace the nerddom. Okay. Here we go. It's supposed to be the only shop in the U.S. that has Forge World kits on the shelf. I did not know that. You should have seen that Nova. They were like handing those things out like candy. They were just like racing up and down. What kind of Forge World stuff do you want? And I was like, nothing. I don't buy Forge World stuff generally. They're like, oh, okay, and they just run away, help somebody else. It was crazy. Let's see. Plus, they have awesome Warhammer. Oh yeah, exclusive models. Right on. Not the biggest fan of the idea of exclusive models, just because so many people in this hobby just collect stuff, right? They just like the model range and collecting. I don't know. I like the idea of everything being accessible for everybody, but I get why they do it. Got to make that journey special to incentivize people to come. anyone know what their exclusive model is right now? I don't remember actually ever seeing that. Is that the one with the lady standing on the ogre's head? Maybe that was like an annual store thing. I'm going to Texas Renaissance Festival outside Houston this upcoming weekend. That's funny. I actually went to that when I was in high school. I had a great time. I did not dress up because my friend did not. I didn't. I was in high school and I did not fully understand that whole subculture and interest, so I was not emotionally prepared for how into that people get. Otherwise, I probably would not have gone, just because I don't want to, like, you know, break their experience by wearing my shorts. Okay, is that working now? There it goes. Okay. Sorry, I'm not quite sure what just happened. So sorry about that. Yes, thank you for saying something, Atomic Topher. My wife was out. He's back. Okay. What was the last thing I said? I kind of went on a rant about... I was talking about the Renaissance Festival. Let's see. Megaboss Doug, question. Is the Maw Crush a hero hard to kill? I have a game tomorrow. Ask the dude, or dudette, the person you're playing against, what the loadout is. So, there's a few ways to build a Maw Crusher that can make him really hard to kill. One is a very popular one. It's an Ethereal Amulet. Help him ignore rend. Suddenly is a 3-up unrendable. If you're hoping to kill him with spells, understand that there's a mount trait called Duardin that allows him to shrug off spells on a 4-up. That's not mortal wounds, it's the whole spell. No matter how many wounds it's about to cause. So that's important to know. What else? So yeah, Ethereal Amulet and Duardin make it pretty tanky. There's also Ironclad, which you can't take with Ethereal Amulet because they don't stack, but that would give him a 2-up save, but it can still be rended, so take that for what it is. Yeah, he can be pretty tanky. Also remember that he... Like, the more the Maw Crusher kills, the better he gets. Like, his wound counter gets higher. What else? He doesn't heal. His wound counter gets higher, and that's a very big distinction. What else? He gets more fighty. He gets more attacks. That kind of stuff. So, and I'm sorry. Someone corrected. Yeah. I walked into your shorts. Yeah, basically, I walked into a Renaissance festival in like my shorts, and I realized I was kind of ruining the experience for other folks who were like really into Renaissance fairs. And I was like, I feel like a tool. I shouldn't be here. Like, I feel like I'm kind of killing the party, kind of ruining the mood, right? The overall vibe is worse off because me in my shorts, just kind of meandering around with a sword in my hand, is probably ruining it for people. So let's see. People watching is great, but I love the joust. It's the same plot, but the characters change occasionally. Good evening. We are painting Duardin. Why? What now? Oh, I switched armies again. I saw this super killer deal, and I just couldn't pass it up. And you know what? Their new book came out. I just loving them. Like, I've been talking about it quite a bit with my friends group. Were they cargo shorts? They actually were, because I was in high school and I thought, you know what? I'm going to have a lot of stuff to carry because I'm an important person. Fun fact, nobody's important and nobody should wear cargo shorts. That's funny. Gotta make yourself laugh sometimes. Let's see. What do we got here? Yeah, the jousting stuff I think is awesome. But it's money you could have spent on expanding greenskins or Nurgle. I'll ruin it. This isn't mine. I'm painting it for Jack. I only go through the trouble. I just wanted to do that to somebody. I told everyone else in the chat that the next person who hopped on, I was going to tell them, oh yeah, I just totally hopped armies. That felt good. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna leave them all on the base. And then we just gotta finish up the just gotta finish up the hair. I've been bamboozled. Yes, you have. 100%. The skullduggery on this channel is so thick. It's like a level 9 skullduggery at least. Doug's hoppier than a shroomed up squig. Well, that's in terms of army hopping, yeah. Cargo shorts are great for tailgating. You can hold a bunch of beers. That is true. I mean, they are an efficient carrying instrument for sure. But just like the life vest keeps you from drowning and the bulletproof vest keeps you from getting shot, the cargo shorts repel people that may love you one day, and beautiful women and men. No, man, I had my cargo jeans, my cargo shorts. Oh, yeah, I was locked and loaded, man. I could, in theory, have been a walking Swiss Army knife, but I never had anything worth carrying, so that never happened. Let's see. Chris, dwarfs? Short list orcs ever. Yeah, dude. We're moving on. Can't get too attached to one army, dude. That's just how it works on this channel. Blurby, hello, hello. Old Witch Doctor, Dwarfs now. Yep, we're leaning into it. I'm married, my wife and kid likes them, so I'm in a good place. Yeah, you know. What was I doing? We were out to dinner with some friends, and all the friends are single, but me and Jess we're married. And I like burped or something. It was by accident. I did something embarrassing. I embarrassed myself somehow, and people were laughing at me. And I said, "Oh, that's just the kind of confidence that you get as a man who has no one else to impress." Meaning I'm all married. I ain't trying to hit on anybody. It's so freeing. Doug, do you prefer resin or plastic? Plastic every time. I hate working with resin models. Like, actually, so I picked up a Harbinger of Decay on a whim. Like, he was just randomly at my local store. Like, somebody ordered him online because he's, like, I think an online exclusive now. Someone ordered him and never picked him up. And so I grabbed him just, because he was there. Why not? But now I'm looking at it, I was like, I don't want to touch that model because all the stuff I've been doing for the Maggotkin, I've been doing little bits of conversions. And I was like, I don't want to touch anything about this model, like do any kind of conversion, because I hate working with resin so much. So that one, I already made the base for it, like the wooden plank base, and that might be all it gets. Which honestly is fine. Let's see, I need 3 more Star Collecting Fire Slayer sets for my 5 Droth list. That's awesome. Is that a specific, whatever their thing is for Storm Hosts that lets them take a bunch of Droths? Magma Hold? Something like that. Who would win in a legal debate, Keratin Overlords or Ossiarch Bone Reaper Tithe Collector? Well, I'm gonna say the Keratin Overlord. That's my go-to. If I had to have one of them be like a defense attorney for me, I'd want the Keratin Overlord on my side. Because he has a personal interest at any given point of just not losing to anybody else, right? It's not even about who's right anymore. We're going to argue just because I cannot stand the idea of you winning an argument. And that's the kind of guy that I want. Lofnir. Okay, right on. There we go. Keratin Overlord know how to cheat. Yeah, they're better at the semantics. They get around rules that they've already agreed to because they're really good at loopholes and that kind of thing. The most deceptive yet honest people out there. KO if all else helps, bring out the big guns. Yeah. I feel like KO and the Bone Reapers would just be the perfect factions to have a battle of legality. Yes, but for me, to make it work, I would have to have the Fire Slayer guy wear a tiny suit. That's the only way I'm on board. Excited to pick up my White Dwarf with the new Slash battalions. To buff the Soul Grinder. Yes, please. Honestly, I forgot they still sold the Soul Grinder. Like, someone mentioned that, and they're like, Oh, what's really cool about this, even though the whole internet's on fire with rage about it, is like they gave me a way to actually play with my soul grinder, and I was like, I did not realize the soul grinder was still for sale. Pleasant surprise. So that's actually really cool. And honestly, that's enough for me to be like, okay, have that battalion around. Someone had toys that they couldn't use before, and now they can. That's a win. We have two. One is converted with an Arachnarok. That's awesome. The Arachnarok is a sick, awesome model. I love it. Let's see. I would go for a Spoilpox Scrivener as legal counsel. That's also a fair one. There's also the... What is there? There's like a Deepkin, like a Sharon guy with a scroll, right? Isn't he like the tax master or whatever like that of those, or task master of those guys? Something like that. Trying to think, if I had to have one of my armies defend me legally, I'm gonna have to go with Savage Big Boss from the Bone Splitters, because I feel like his deliberations would be short and brutal. And you know what, if anything else, I'm not gonna sit around and be bored at court. You realize how much cooler the legal system would be if, like, lawyers could just have axes the size of their bodies and lunged at each other the way that model's posed? It would be amazing. Just eat the lawyer. I would just love a legal battle of a bunch of orcs being like, Your Honor, Exhibit A, and he holds up one axe. And the other savage big boss who's, defending the other client is like, Your Honor, rebuttal, and then holds up his massive effing axe, and they're just like staring at each other. Just the jury just like absolutely entranced. Who's winning? I don't know. Hallowed Knight's Lord Veritant, just to claim everything he says is heresy. Forbid Lotin, Kataros, and Merchants of Urbask in legal dispute. Yep. Be the most boring fight in the Mortal Realms, but kind of awesome. Okay, now we're getting to the highlights on all the beards and stuff. I would pick my squiggler and throw out the other lawyer. Yeah. Even the Hallowed Knight's Lord Veritant, that was a really good suggestion. Trying to think of one that's better than that. I got nothing. According to subset 27 of Article 9 in the code, you're bone tied. That's a bunch of hogwash. Exactly. Just imagine like a black carriage and overlord being the Johnny Cochran. If the bone don't fit, you must acquit. And then they're trying to match the different dead body bones to each other. Skinks are glued, ready time to paint 40k orcs. Sweet! I'm trying to think of how many orcs I've painted in my time with the 40k army. I think I did 60 for that. Question, who would you like most to defend you physically? I'm going Corgus Cole for his axe. Physically defend me? Okay, let's limit it to named heroes that don't have the monster keyword, because otherwise I would just hang out with Marathi all day, but she's next level. Because my first thought is the Rogue Idol, because he just kind of seems like he's looking for a good time. Can't argue. Go Trek, that's a good one. Who else? Who would I want to physically defend me? Celestant Prime is not a bad one. I'm trying to think of anything else. I feel like Manfred would be a good one, just because I think he would also make a good drinking buddy. Scarbrand? No, I don't want Scarbrand. Dang it, I wish we had some... Do we have any named heroes specifically from Guran that aren't Alariel? I guess Durthu, any of the wood guys. No, he's not a named character. I don't know. Just oh, my cat's trying to break into the office. If you hear a weird banging, it's not a child I've kidnapped. It's just my derpy cat. Lord Aquilor. That's a good one. Okay, let me think about this seriously. Let me put the brush down for a hot sec. I would probably say... I'm going to say a Lord of Blights. You know, he's always trying to get me to try new things, you know, new diseases, that kind of stuff. Generally joyful kind of person. Wants to see me be my best self. Which may or may not include turning into a bunch of maggots, but is just generally a positive presence, you know? But the smell, I get used to it. Question, which character among your favorite named characters would you make the worst drinking buddy? How's it going out there?
Your favorite fan is
oh my god.
coming to pay respects.
The cat's freaking out. Oh my god. I love you too. Okay, which character among your favorite named characters would you make the worst... Oh, who's the worst drinking buddy? I'm gonna go with Gordrak. Because he's not a fun orc. He doesn't sound like a fun orc. He sounds like a very serious one with a very serious mission. And the one time a Stormcast tried to be nice to him, he cut him in half. And was just like, you know what, man? I think you just need to chill. I think we all just need to stop, take a little chill pill. Realize we're all floating on a disc in space. Cat hype. Yeah, Croak would be a bad drinking buddy. I feel like any of the Daughters of Cain would be bad drinking buddies, because I always feel like they're like just trying to get me inebriated to like kill me in a very specific way. You couldn't relax, you know what I mean? Good drinking buddy, you can relax, you can be super honest with, share your heart and soul, make fun of their karaoke. I feel like Marathi has no chill. 2+ fluff. He is. He's a little sack of fluff. Oh my goodness, that could be a segment for him. Good drinking buddy would be Gotrek. Yeah, I think he'd drink you under the table. Probably die of alcohol poisoning. I'd love to go to karaoke with the Sisters of Battle. See, when I think about the Sisters of Battle going to karaoke, it's either lame because they're singing a bunch of hymns and nobody wants to, it's kind of a buzzkill, you know? Or it goes the complete opposite way and they're like singing Spice Girls, having the time of their lives, and everyone's going crazy for them. But I can't imagine an in-between. Let's see. Oh, Witch Doctor, yeah, Imperial Hymns, yeah, exactly what I was just thinking too. Like, what songs do they know? Because if they, if they're like, okay, we're gonna be singing the Spice Girls, you know what I mean? They just kind of go nuts. Karaoke with Eldar Banshees. Whoa. Let's see. I've invited Doug to karaoke several times. You are a great ambassador for the karaoke hobby. I just have no interest in doing it. I have a myriad of things that I'm already very self-conscious about. My voice doesn't need to be one of them. Let's see. When they're out there singing the field, but those hymns get spicy. Oh, I bet they're really spicy to the guy they're stabbing in the face. Alright, Jack, we're almost done with these guys. Don't judge them too harshly by what you see here, because one, this camera's not great, and two, they do need to be popped off of this cork, but I don't have any bases to replace it with, so I'll leave them on for you. And you already based some of them, so you know how to do that. I'll finish up the beards and stuff like that's all that's left pretty much for those guys. Come on, Doug, you got those dulcet tones. No. Nope. The world will have to find a way without my tones. Is Asian karaoke different from normal karaoke? My understanding... So my brother went to like a very traditional, I believe it was a Japanese karaoke place, and they take it very serious. It's a communal entertainment thing, whereas like a lot of other places here included, like you all get drunk and your boy acts like a dingus up there singing a song. He's starts singing Madonna, girls just want to have fun. 5 shots in, where it's a different kind of entertainment. Both are entertaining in group settings, but one is like they sing music to try and be really good at singing a song. That's my understanding. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Let's see. Let's get those done. They primed yet? So it's like regular gaming versus Korean gaming. Yeah, kinda. Yeah. Yeah, we all scream about, our dad's a hacker and he's going to go in there and ruin your account. Meanwhile, in Korea, they're like, I must type. I have to do at least 45 actions per minute in StarCraft kind of thing. And then I will gain enough honor to insult your father. And you're just like, oh, dang, man. Reel it in. Okay. So at this point, I'm kind of just looking around these guys and figuring out where I need to pick up on the paint job that the last owner had. So it looks like mostly I just need to do the metallics and just do a highlight on the skin. So that shouldn't be too bad. And like everything else, it's all about the beards after that. So the beards, I'm doing this tutorial that actually James Workshop did forever ago, back when the painter named Emma was still on their staff doing tutorials with Duncan way back in the day. Where basically it's Troll Slayer orange is the main color. Give it a wash of Fugan orange, the wash, and then kind of build that color back up. But you put washes towards the center, like where the actual brim of the hair goes, like where it meets the head. With like Caribou Crimson is one of them, and then Null Oil. And so basically what that does is it makes it go from a bright, brilliant orange to a dark, 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 deep color to show that the plume is coming out. So, yeah. I think they're looking pretty cool, you know. They're not my best work, but they are certainly well painted. And when they get on the right base, they'll look pretty good. So, all right, friends. I'm actually going to go ahead and hop off while everything's drying. I can't do a thing until that... till the orange dries. Emma, such skill. I miss her. Yeah, her Twitch community, I'm a part of it. She's one of the few people I do watch over on Twitch. I don't remember the name of her channel, but yeah, she's super cool. So, friends, I will hop off. Look forward to a hobby haul video tomorrow morning. Hope you enjoy it. You can get to see what I'm working on with my big to-do list here. And I will chat with you all very, very soon again. Have a wonderful day and happy